Tron Carter, aka Todd Schuster. Welcome to the Bag Drop.
Matt, thanks. Thanks for having me. Excited to do this.
Excited to be with you again. I first have to congratulate you on the coaching changes down at your hometown now. I mean, Jacksonville's a city of champs. That's great. You got leadership. You got people with quality of character, at the helm. What do you think about Urban?
Well, he's already forced my colleague to move. Randy was in Columbus during, the back end of Urban's tenure there. And he said, I can't live in the same city with him again. So I'm not an Urban Meyer fan. And it's funny because there's not a whole lot of Urban Meyer fans down here because there's so many Florida fans based on how he left Gainesville. It's left a lot of bad taste in people's mouth there. So, not off to a great start either with, some of the coordinator hires and bringing in Brian Schottenheimer to be the passing game coordinator. And then there was the whole strength coach fiasco last week. So, just a inauspicious start.
Yeah, I think the same thing for those Florida people, the same thing will happen that happened for my entire family who are all Ohio State Buckeye fans. I had to get outside the bubble to kind of see what was going on. But, I have never heard worse things said about anyone than Urban Meyer when he was at Florida and he beat Ohio State 42-7, whooped up on Tressel in the national championship. And, as soon as he came, all those words were forgotten. As soon as he showed up in Columbus, everyone's like, he really changed his ways. He's a leader of men. I'm like, this is the same guy that you guys were all calling a cheater.
Yeah. And it'll inevitably end badly here in Jax as well. It's just a matter of time. So
yeah. Regardless,
I will say I like Ryan Day. I think he's the first Ohio State coach in, maybe in my lifetime that I've actually respected and think he's a quality human being, a quality coach. So,
well, we'll leave it at that. I don't want to offend any of our Ohio State 11. So I was thinking of people to talk to about Atlanta, and the Schuster brothers were on the top of my list. Neil said to talk to you, that you spent more time in the ranks of Atlanta golf, but you guys both grew up there. So I want to kick things off talking a little Atlanta golf. Before we get to the golf, share what are some of your favorite non-golf memories of growing up in Atlanta?
Gosh, I was telling somebody the other day, I think I've been to over a dozen World Series games, and the Braves have won like 2 of those. I think they're like 2-10 or 2-11 in those World Series games that I've been to. So, you said City of Champs earlier. It's like the opposite of the City of Champions. It's between the Hawks and the Braves and the Falcons and the Thrashers. R.I.P. the Thrashers. It's really it's a tough place to be a sports fan, and so that's kind of top of mind. Like the only time I've ever seen a championship parade, we lived in Toronto for a couple of years when I was growing up. So when the Braves won the World Series in '95, we were actually living in Toronto, and we moved to Toronto right after they won back-to-back World Series in the early '90s. So we didn't see any of those either. So the only time I've ever seen a championship parade was we lived down the street from where the Patriots championship parade started in Boston. And so the 28-3 game, that was the only time I've ever seen a championship parade. And that was after they beat the Falcons. So Atlanta was a great place to grow up. The weather, obviously the weather's awesome. Seasonal allergies quite a bit in March, April timeframe, but no, it was fantastic place to grow up. I don't think I realized quite how good the food scene was until I moved away. Even going to Boston was kind of a step down as far as the food scene goes. And now being down here in Jacksonville, I relish any chance I get to go back to Atlanta and eat. Growing up, so we grew up out in the northern suburbs, out kind of just south of the Chattahoochee River, right behind Dunwoody Country Club off of Spalding Drive, kind of on the border of Dunwoody and Sandy Springs. And whenever I go back to like visit my parents, I always feel like I'm on an island, and the only way to get off that island is to sit in your car for like 20 to 25 minutes and go sit in traffic. So, you know, it's definitely an interesting city just because you are so tied to your car.
Yeah.
But, you know, but on the flip side, I think like it reminds me a lot of DC in that like it's a city of neighborhoods, right? And there's I think Uber's helped out a lot as far as like going out and you know, kind of exploring the city, you know, and just people moving back into the city between Decatur and, you know, down by Eastlake, all that. And then the West Side kind of, you know, blown up over the last 10 years or so. So it's definitely pretty dynamic place. It's been growing since we were kids. I mean, it's crazy to see where it was in 92, 93 to where it is now. It's like, you know, almost indistinguishable. Gosh, as far as like favorite memories go, I'm trying to think. We used to have a big concert series. You're in Chicago. It's kind of like a poor man's Lollapalooza called Music Midtown. And the early days of that were awesome. It was when I was in high school. I remember, you know, seeing like Outkast and just like really like, you know, awesome concerts down for that. That was during high school. The Olympics is a great memory. We were fortunate to go to a ton of events. My dad's company was a big sponsor, so went to a ton of those events, like mountain biking, beach volleyball, you know, dream team stuff. That was cool. It was probably like the most poorly run games too. So
I was gonna say that documentary. I can't remember what that was on, but yeah, it looked like they had their issues.
Yeah, oh for sure. It was so commercialized, and that was Billy Payne. Who was running all that. So yeah, Billy Payne. I don't have a very high opinion of him. He actually lived. His sister lived across the street from us when we were growing up. And then, gosh, what else? Yeah, really just, you know, more or less like the springtime was great. Like you used to go to the Masters pretty much every year. Like our next door neighbor does the main scoreboard over there. And you know, it was a short drive, 2 hours over there. And it was kind of, you know, before like I feel like the tickets, you know, the ticket scene really took off in like the mid to late 2000s. And, you know, it's just gotten like, you know, 10, 15x the prices of what it was 96, 97, all the way through, you know, even into the early 2000s. So was fortunate to go to a lot of Masters there. And then otherwise just, you know, like playing a lot of golf around the state. And, you know, it's a great place to play golf. It's not a great place for great golf though, if that makes sense. Like there's not a whole lot of great golf courses. Especially, you know, and it's weird because there's so much good land, the weather's good and all that. But I think most of my, you know, I don't think I realized how mediocre of a golf architecture city it was until I moved away.
Yeah. And we'll get to golf. A couple more questions, non-golf, before we let it dominate the rest of this conversation. I know we're both fans of Artisan Coffee. So what's your favorite coffee shop in LA?
Oh man, there's a couple. I think we lived in like kind of Ansley Park, like just south of Buckhead, kind of between Buckhead and Midtown. So there's a couple over in Decatur. God, what's the name? It's Octane Coffee over in West Midtown. That place is really, really good. But really it's probably been 6 or 7 years, at least, probably 8 years now since I lived there. So I think it's changed quite a bit. I'm trying to think where else.
That could be a long time for a coffee shop. It could change drastically.
No, exactly.
What about the chef scene? So any Michelin star rated restaurants that we do, this question is a bit selfish because we do for those of our members who host at their clubs, you know, we play public, private, and a lot of our members will host. At the end of the year, we go to just a nice ass dinner. And so I'm always looking for like a Michelin star, you know, rated place that would, you know, impress spouses and, you know, partners.
Yeah, and again, I think it's changed quite a bit, and there's plenty of new places that I know I'm missing here, but there's some standbys used to, and really not even, I'm not sure if Michelin stars or whatever, but just places that I used to frequent. I'm not a huge Ford Fry fan, but I really like his place over in Decatur, number 246. That place is fantastic. There's, I'm trying to think where else. Miller Union's always good. Empire State South, which is one of Hugh Atchison's places. That's kind of perfect location in Midtown. Great outdoor dining, which I know is important right now as well. God, I used to go to Taqueria del Sol like 4 times a week. So that was up there.
So good. The Mexican food scene in Atlanta is like, Mexican food I've had is either in Atlanta or Arizona.
Yeah. Actually, you know where has great Mexican food, like completely out of nowhere? Salt Lake City. Salt Lake City has some of the best Mexican food I've had anywhere. It's unbelievable.
Of course.
Yeah, even here in Jax, I kind of miss, like, we've got a couple decent places, but when I was in Boston, like that was the thing that I missed the most about Atlanta was, you just go all up and down Buford Highway and you can pop into so many places. Like there's I love Vietnamese food, and there's a bunch of good Vietnamese places over on Buford Highway, good Korean places. There's a great Ethiopian restaurant. Buford Highway Farmers Market was so good. But yeah, I mean, really, so Hal's is like one of my favorite steakhouses in Atlanta. I think Bones is kind of resting on its laurels. Bones is kind of the old standby, place. But Hal's is more of like a New Orleans style, kind of Cajun style steakhouse. They've got unbelievable like fried crawfish, and I just like the way they cook their steaks. It's really, understated, casual place. That's kind of on the west side of Buckhead there. And then, where else? There's speaking of Mexican places, there's a place, Nuevo Laredo on the west side, kind of right by like the Top Golf on the west side. That place is unbelievable. The guy that owns it, Chance, used to be at the Ritz all the time, and he was great to us. So we used to go there all the time. They've got this like green onion dish that's unbelievable. And then, God, I mean, you can't go wrong with like Chops and Lobster Bar down in kind of the Buckhead scene. There's all that new stuff down at the streets of Buckhead and all that. There's a really, really cool place called La Grata. It's an Italian restaurant. It's like straight out of the 60s or the 70s. It's in this really kind of not dingy, but just really dated, like high-rise condo building, right on Peachtree between Buckhead and Midtown. And it is it's this big room in the basement, and awesome, kind of old school Italian joint. Yeah. And then Kima, that's another one of my favorites. It's a Greek place, owned by the same people. Like it's owned by the Buckhead Life Group. So they've got a bunch of restaurants around town, but they have the best grilled octopus dish I've ever had. So
love it. All right. Last non-golf Atlanta superlative, best rapper.
Oh man. I got to go with Andre. He's kind of the OG.
Is there anyone outside of, I think we're about the same age. So is there anyone outside of that come up, of the 90s that can contest? I mean, he carried into the 2000s, but is there any generation of Atlanta rappers that can contest, you think, with that group?
I don't think so. I mean, yeah, I feel like all the guys now have probably better production, and there's just so many guys working on beats now and all that, so they've got kind of a better foundation. But yeah, between Andre and like Big Boy used to, and like those guys too, it wasn't just about how talented and how great their music was too. I think it was about like everything that they everything that they put back into the community and put back into just like the cultural scene. Like, I mean, so I used to valet park in high school and during the summers in college, and Big Boy's girlfriend lived like in the condos above one of the places I valet parked, and he would come in a couple times a week and like could not have been cooler to everybody and like almost on another level beyond like a famous athlete that comes in. It was like, like got along with everybody. It was just good to people. Used to see Andre all the time at the Whole Foods in Buckhead, and like same kind of thing, just like really, really normal, normal, interesting, like worldly dudes. Yeah. And, I think everything that they did for, everybody around them, like that whole ecosystem and that whole music scene, I think it just like lifted everybody else up. So, kind of moving beyond the music, it was just like what they meant to the city really as a whole. So no, I don't think anybody compares.
If I ever get in like a mental rut during the week and need to just rip myself out of it, I always go back to like childhood music, and Outkast is on that playlist. And every time it gets me like, all right, yeah, let's go.
Yeah. No, I mean, some of their I get kind of frustrated because some of the, starting with like Speaker Box and even Stankonia and all that, like those are good albums, but like their early stuff like Aquemini and all this stuff like Wheels of Steel and Spodio, Edopolicious, like all that stuff, like that's the stuff I go back to, and I'm like, God, like Players Ball, like that stuff gets me just totally amped because it's so positive, but it's like so groovy too,
Speaking of amped, let's get into the Atlanta golf scene.
Yeah.
By the way, I think when I think about questions I want to ask you, it's all related to kind of rankings and superlatives. I think you were born to be a reviewer, just to be a critic. Like because you give like very quickly, you give very thoughtful. I mean, whether it's food, wine, coffee, like I think that's a big part of Tron Carter. Would you agree?
Yeah, no, I've always had, God, my mom always said, she's like, God, you have really, really strong opinions. And what I've tried to kind of do is like, it's one thing to have strong opinions. It's another thing to like be able to back them up and be, of course it's subjective, but have objective, things to kind of, support them with. So, I think being in, like, I was in the food and beverage industry for a while. My wife still is. And, I think just that combined with, and then going into, hotels, it's like you're kind of trained to have a critical eye, especially when you're managing that kind of stuff. So it's, attention to detail, I think is super important. And I always like, hopefully it's what I've tried to do is like be just as positive. Like, obviously you're going to have your negative reviews and your strong opinions of stuff that kind of pisses you off, but also balance that out with, trying to lift up the stuff and the people that are doing it right too.
I'll ask it now. I was going to ask it later, but with Golf Takes, and as your presence has grown, and you got a lot of critical eyes looking at your critiques, right? Do you find it's more pressure added to be right? Yeah,
I mean, I think going back, it's like, I think there's definitely more pressure to be right on certain, like on very objective, like reporting, or on stuff that matters, stuff that affects someone. A lot of the time, like we won't like when we're planning out tourist sauce or when we're planning to go do a course review somewhere, like a lot of the time, like if we know we're going to hate a place, like we just won't go there. Cause like, I don't want to unnecessarily flame somebody, or I know that's going to affect somebody's livelihood. Always willing to kind of give open and honest feedback when people ask for it and that sort of thing. But, like those series, we kind of want to just lift up the good places versus kind of tearing down the bad places. But yeah, I mean, as far as social media and podcasts and everything, I think that was not a crisis, but definitely a learning, a challenge over the last couple of years as we've gotten bigger. But the longer you do it, the more you realize like, hey, like you can't really be measured in what you say. You just gotta own it, and you gotta say what you think. And you're never going to please you're never going to please everybody. And as long as you're true to yourself and you're saying what you believe. But on the same token too, like I don't always hopefully I'm not always right, 'cause that means I'm playing it way too safe. Right. I think that's the other really big element is like not being afraid to be wrong. right? Being able to have your opinions or your views evolve and, have a dialogue with people and be willing to change your mind.
I think that's spot on. I have nothing to add. I think it's a big part of your fan base too. A lot of us that love following you guys and watching is we know there's authenticity behind what Tron's going to tell you about a certain place. And by the way, as we get into golf courses, nobody's listening, Tron. So you can flame throw all you want, brother. This isn't your show. This is this is just a few members down in Atlanta. We got some new listeners in Atlanta, but so I've been, this is our first year in Atlanta. So I've done my research and started to dig what I can dig and, just find compelling golf. Like we don't care if it's, I think a lot of people think NewClub's just all private and we're about that access. We're about compelling golf, right? So we're just trying to find, and Atlanta, like you mentioned, is just different. Chicago, where we've been for 4 years is just so different than how Atlanta is as a city, but also its golf scene. And you touched on that, but I might start with, should I start with my list of, I'd like to start on the public side, if that's all right. Or would you maybe share with your favorite?
Yeah, well, I think going back to I think Atlanta has a lot of things working against it. Like, just like I said, there's on the surface, it would seem like, man, there's, it's kind of like Charlotte and Nashville are similar as well, where like you would think there'd be just so much good golf and all that, but these cities grew so much during the 80s, 90s, early 2000s when it was just straight, real estate plays. And there's not a whole lot of classic golf there because classic golf course architects didn't really visit Atlanta or didn't really visit Nashville, other than you've got Belle Meade and then Charlotte Country Club up there. But like, there's really, really like the kind of really even like Eastlake to me is kind of like, everybody kind of holds it on a pedestal. I don't really like Eastlake. Like, it's just kind of, we can get into that, but it's just like even the courses that get the most notoriety and the most acclaim. I think it's for tournament golf, and it's because like people just said, hey, they must be nice because they held a PGA here or they have the Tour Championship here, and they're nice courses, but I don't think I think their influence is a little bit outsized as far as what they actually are.
Yeah. So, yeah, the notoriety maybe outweighs the substance a lot of times. I'll give you a list of starting on the public side, and then we'll talk private. I'll give you a list of 10 names, and you can tell me who belongs or who's out of place on that list, and then throw in some that we're missing.
And for context, this is 10 of the best in your opinion, or 10 of kind of the ones doing it right?
This is actually not even a superlative. This is kind of like my research of like, if I were just doing it on my own and I was like, all right, I'm going to go play some public golf. This is the list I would have come up with from the internet. That's what this list is. But I love your take. So Cherokee Run, Echelon, The Frog, Ashton Hills, Cobblestone, Stone Mountain, Heritage Links, Bears Best, The Fields, Summer Grove. Okay.
All right. Let's go one by one here. So you started with
Cherokee Run.
All right. Cherokee Run. Actually, Harrison Minshew, who was one of Arnold Palmer's design associates and actually did the renovation at Jack's Beach, basically designed that course. There's some really cool holes out there. The 9th hole is one of the worst holes I think I've ever played. Great value, relatively close to the city, down in Conyers area. It's funny. There's like a granite outcropping down there. There's like this vein of granite between like Conyers and like Stone Mountain, and it kind of runs north and south there. And it's interesting to see. There's some holes out there that are like firmer than concrete.
I noticed a lot of my courses are down in that area. Conyers kind of seems where the land is at in a way.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I think I would say we used to play there, after college, we used to play there probably once a month. Good course, some good holes out there. You can normally get out there and granted, like, take everything I say with a grain of salt, because I haven't really played all that much up there in the last five, 6, 7, 8 years. So it's, with conditioning and pricing, like those two things
So
can kind of fluctuate.
Very variable.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yep.
Yeah. So that one definitely belongs, I think.
Cool. Then Echelon.
Echelon used to play there all the time. So that was
pretty sweet.
Pictures
look sweet.
Yeah, that was supposed to be the Georgia Tech Golf Club. And it opened 2007, 2008. So just really poor timing.
Great time to get into golf. Great time.
Yeah, kind of a real estate play, but Reese Jones. So there's some stuff that you don't love to see out there, but that place is they can stretch it out to 7,800 yards from the tips. I remember I had five or six birdies out there one time, and I shot 78. I mean, there's doubles, triples, quads lurking everywhere. There's some really, really good holes on that back nine too, and crazy elevation change, especially 12, 13, 14. So yeah, that was one of my standbys. I used to go up there, always in pretty good shape, and I think they've kind of rebounded. You used to be able to get up there for $50, $60.
Nice. The Frog.
The Frog, I think it's a little bit overrated. That was kind of the, public golf.
Isn't it your boy? It's the Foz.
It's the Foz. Yeah. Yeah. It's, I don't normally go east or west of the city hall that much. It's pretty far out west. I think if you're going to drive to the Frog, just go out to the fields. It's the Frog it's kind of like a 90s Foz period piece. There's some good holes out there. It's normally in good shape. I think it's probably a little bit overpriced too.
Ashton Hills.
Never played there.
I think of this list, that's the one I'm most curious about. It's in
Where is that one?
Conyers.
In Conyers. Okay.
Yeah. And it looks like I'm guessing it's made its strides in the last couple of years.
Okay.
Some updates, some tweaks. So I'm most curious about that one.
Okay.
Cobblestone.
I haven't played there in a long time. Played a couple junior golf events up there. So, but by all accounts, good course. I don't really, it doesn't really ring a bell too much as far as from my junior days. But yeah.
This one looks bonkers. Stone Mountain.
Yeah. So they have two courses out at Stone Mountain. They have the Stonemont and Lakemont, I think, and there's Stonemont and Lakeside. So yeah, this one's late 50s, 60s, Robert Trent Jones Sr. And it is it's hard. The greens are small. I think there's only two par fives, and I don't even think they have 4 par threes. But at one point you play 14 par fours in a row. It's insane, and they're all long.
Ellie, man,
straight,
come on, it's just a throwback.
Narrow. It's firm because it's over there. You play over there in the summer, and it is tough to stop your ball in those greens. So yeah, it's a good challenge. Stone Mountain's kind of a pain in the ass to get to. You gotta it's inside the park, and you gotta pay to get in the park and all that. But yeah, that course is managed by Marriott, so I used to be able to go over there and play for free. So
big hospitality, doing it up.
Yeah.
Heritage Links.
Heritage is cool. I think they have the 27 out there. That's out in Tucker area, kind of pretty central to everything. Up on the northeast side. Dr. J owned it for a while. It's nice enough course. It's a little scruffy around the edges, and there's some pretty wonky stuff out there, but yeah, it's good standby if you're looking for somewhere under probably under $100 to play.
Bears Best.
Overpriced and yeah, it's kind of it's pretty short these days now too.
I had a Chicago member who has such disdain for Nicklaus golf courses that they told me if I added Bears Best to the rotation in Atlanta that they'd quit. They're just out.
Yeah, it just kind of lifts up all the wrong stuff, and it's just kind of icky.
But when you look at just reviewer ratings, I mean, from probably public conditioning and all the other statistics put, it's top, and I just think it seems so weird to have a Nicklaus replica course.
Yeah. Oh, it's bizarre.
The fields.
The field is great. I know the conditioning's been spotty out there the last couple of years, but it sounds like they've got a good plan moving forward. I haven't played out there in God, since like the, 20, probably a couple of years before I moved away. So that place is cool though. Like kind of everything that's right with golf.
Yeah. Mike and Ashley Young down there. They're awesome guys. Summer Grove down that way.
Summer Grove. Never played it. Played it.
That's one that's it's a Chicago connection. It's actually the Jemsick family that owns Cog Hill up here.
Oh, okay.
They own that, and so you go to Cog, what you're getting. It's not going to like blow you away, but it's solid. Yeah. They take great care, and the courses are good. They're just not like great. So I added that just from their reputation up here, but who knows? Okay. What are we missing public wise?
Yeah, you're missing. So, Bobby Jones gets all the acclaim with the 9-hole. I actually haven't played it since they redid it. That there in North Fulton used to be kind of my standbys if I just wanted to go out and get a quick round in. But kind of up north, if you drive up past Echelon on 400, there's one called Chastity up there, which is really, really good. I used to play there a lot in high school. That place, conditioning, again, I'm not sure these days, but conditioning was always good back in the day. Play there for under $100. And then another place up there called a Chasta that is awesome. It's a Nicklaus course. It's under 7,000 yards from the tips. Kind of a housing development, but the houses aren't right on the course. 17 of the 18 holes are right along the Chastity River. And is it Chastity River? Or one of the rivers up there. And it's basically, just kind of winds back and forth. It is super scoreable, and it's kind of a precision golf course. I love that place. That's probably one of my favorites. And then another one is Wolf Creek. It's down by the airport. I always tell people, like, if you have a layover or you're coming in for, a bowl game or something like that, Wolf Creek, it's not in the best area. I mean, it's in like unincorporated Fulton County, kind of a weird mix between like residential and commercial and everything like that, but it's super easy to get to from the airport and from kind of downtown area. And there's only one fairway bunker on the entire course. It's on the first hole. And I didn't really realize that until like the second or third time I played. It's like, man, like I really like playing here. It's really comfortable. And then, and like the greens are always in really, really good shape. Great layout, and like it's not gonna beat you up, but it's gonna it's a great second shot golf course. So it's super affordable. I saw it and I thought to myself, this is either one of those like awesome value plays or one of those like don't touch it because when you see the price point, you wonder, right? It's like, all right, what is it? But if places like that take care of their greens, they can be the best places. Exactly. Yeah, no, that was, I mean, I had never really even had a reason to go down there and play it until I graduated college and moved back to Atlanta. And like, I used to go down there, once or twice a week and play. I mean, it's that good. So
those, there is a funny thing about that stage in life when you finish, cause I grew up in a country club. I think you guys did too. And when you fall off of the parents' dime, and you can't play the rounds, those are the people I want to talk to about courses because they're exploring the most. They're seeing them. They're just like, well, let's try this place. Who knows?
Yeah. No, I mean, like I actually quit playing golf for 2 or 3 years, kind of right before we started No Laying Up. I quit playing golf, and then No Laying Up got me back into it, and then Sweetens got me back into it. Like I went up to Sweetens a couple of times just for the day and realized like, God, like, all the stuff that I hated about playing golf in Atlanta on the weekends, like I could just go up to Sweetens and truly, just enjoy it for the day and not have to worry about a 6-hour round. So like, that's kind of what like reinvigorated my love of the game after I got kicked in the nuts repeatedly by, guest fees at private courses in Atlanta, not being able to afford a membership anywhere, and crappy public golf.
That's, man, it's the spirit of Sweetens has brought more people back to the game than maybe any Grow the Game initiative.
It's crazy. Yeah.
You talk to Kevin Moore. He's the same way, right? He was a decade off, and then it just it sunk in with him. And I didn't know that, actually, that Sweetens was one of the places that brought you back. Yeah.
Like I used to go up to, so I'm trying to think what years. This is probably 2013 through like 2015. I basically quit playing and started just going up to North Georgia and like fly fishing. And so I would just go up to like the Amicalola Creek and a few other places up there, and just would fish either, all day Saturday or all day Sunday or both. And then, a couple of people invited me up to Sweetens right after it opened, and that was like, it was like a light bulb going off, Yeah. I think another place that's probably, if people are going out to like the northeast side of town, used to be really good. They have like the AJGA is based out there. Is Chateau Elan. They've got 3 or 4 courses out there. There's some good holes out there, and it's, I think the last couple of times I've been there, the conditioning's been really spotty, but really good land out there, and could be good. The one that we always used to play when I was growing up, but it could be really, really cool, but it's just packed all the time, and kind of a funky layout, is River Pines, and that's out in Alpharetta, Roswell area. But I wish they would like put some money into that place and kind of revamp it.
Yeah. So on the private side, we're fortunate as NewClub members to play both public and private tee times. But we don't need to go through the extensive list of all. I mean, because that's the thing. There's a long list of private golf in Atlanta, maybe longer than any other city. Where are some places that just maybe aren't on everybody's radar that you have played and you could recommend?
Yeah, public wise, I think the one that springs to mind first and foremost is Rivermont. That place is awesome. The Cupid family owns it. Chris does an unbelievable job. He's always putting money back into the course, tweaking it. It's kind of a true golf club. Not very walkable. I mean, it's a tough walk. We used to play the front 9 back there all the time in high school, just like before daylight savings. And it's really, really tough too. I mean, it's a great test of golf. They redid it probably close to 15 years ago now, 10 or 15 years ago. They redid it, and it was always good, and now it's great. Conditioning is always good. They have like U.S. Senior Open qualifying out there most years, I think. And just like really captivating shots. Chris is bringing some, kind of classic, like golden age philosophies into the architecture of the course. They've added some new tee boxes and stuff. But yeah, that place is like, I would join there tomorrow if I move to Atlanta. It's affordable, good membership too. Like a lot of good players out there. So that would be first and foremost on my list. I actually like the Capital City course in town. It's just kind of funky, and I don't really care for the Crabapple one. But the Capital City in town course is fun. I enjoy that. Atlanta Country Club, I think, is underrated. That place is really, really, really cool. Good piece of property and very, very low key. Like, I don't think there's not a whole lot of pretense over there. It's just, they just kind of mind their own business over there. Where else? I've only played Peachtree a couple times, so I can't comment too much. I caddied out there a little bit, back in high school, caddied for a couple events there. And, I wish they would kind of contribute more to the golf ecosystem in Atlanta. They're just super closed off. It's kind of the waiting room for Augusta.
Hey, they got the reciprocal with Augusta. What's the problem? They're open.
Yeah, no, but it's like, host a qualifier, host something every once in a while and just, let the public through the gates.
Yeah. Like the Philly, like what happens in Philly, their great golf courses are always hosting something.
Yeah. It's like at some point, like every 10 years, host a Mid-Am qualifier, or host the Georgia State Am or something like that, just to kind of pay it forward a little bit. Let's see here. Other privates, Dunwoody Country Club, where I grew up. It is 17 really good holes, and the fifth hole is like one of the worst holes you'll ever play. It's like a just like a 90-degree dogleg right. And Bill Bergen redesigned it, or kind of renovated it probably 10 or 15 years ago now. He's kind of all the rage in Atlanta right now. He just redid Druid Hills, I think, as well. Everybody calls him Ugly Bunker Bergen because he's got he's really good for maintenance. He takes out the kind of the flash face bunkers and puts in the flat bottom bunkers, and he'll take out a lot of bunkers and put in just grass runoff areas. But Dunwoody had bent greens when I was growing up, and they've switched to the Champion Bermuda. So I think it plays probably 4 or 5 shots harder than it did when I was growing up, just because you can't land it right by the pin. You can't go flag hunting. You got to actually, play the slopes and play towards the front of the greens. But by the same token, I think it's gotten easier for high handicaps as well, because it's easier to get out of the bunkers. There's not as many bunkers, and it's a lot easier to play the ground game. So Dunwoody's definitely up there. I can't stand Cherokee. I think Cherokee is that was our home course in high school. It is. I've played there probably 100 times. They have 36 holes. It's like late 80s, early 90s Foz. And it is, I think they're redoing it too. I've heard they're redoing at least one of them. It's always in great shape, rolling hills. Like you'd think you could do so much with it. I've played there 100 times. I can't remember more than like one hole out there on the 36 holes.
Is this where your relationship with the Foz kind of took it to the next level?
No, I never even realized it was a Foz. Like I didn't even know who the Foz was until after high school. You know what I mean? So like while I was playing it, it was just so unmemorable and like just generic.
Wait, as I'm still like a 10 handicap, 15 handicap when it comes to architecture, but when I saw your cheesecake comparisons to the Foz, and we were playing, there's a lot of Foz everywhere, right? You can't not find the Foz. I was just like, man, that is the best take. Have you met the Foz?
Yeah, I met him at the PGA show a couple years ago. I respect the hell out of him. He's just doing what the owners and what the developers want him to do. I played World Woods earlier this week for the first time, and that place was awesome. Like, I think he does good work. It's just, sometimes it just can be so uninspired or so, so just vanilla or bland, where it's like the Cheesecake Factory, where like you're going to have a good meal. Like, all the objective elements are there, but it just lacks the soul a little bit,
It's soul. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say I think the best, probably my favorite course in all of Atlanta, is Setting Down. Setting Down is awesome. Yeah. So I like Ansley's In-Town Club, kind of funky how they've got the 9 greens and all the different tee boxes, but Setting Down, their out-of-town club is as good as it gets. We used to play there all the time. I had a couple buddies whose parents were members there, and between that and they have US Open sectional qualifying there all the time. And it's just such a great golf course. Bob Cup, one of his best designs. Not very long. There's tall grass kind of, all along, but it's super playable. Like, it's not going to beat you up. Relatively small greens. The front 9 out there is just so good.
Yeah. Last thought for Atlanta for you on the golf scene. It's, to me, you look at the list of architects in Chicago that, I have, and you see a lot of old names, a lot of 1920s, a lot of Ross, a lot of Langford, a lot of just all those guys. And you look at Atlanta and you see 80s and 90s, like you said, a lot of Bob Cup and others. Yeah.
Willard Bird.
But I think it's interesting to me that, like, we think golf course architecture will, have more people in the game, but I can't think of a city that has more people in the game than Atlanta. Like everybody to me of friends that have moved there, they pick up game because of the other elements, that the weather is perfect, that it's just it's a golf heavy town, and far more people are members of clubs in Atlanta, and so it's what are your thoughts on, like, how does those courses at the time they were built shape, it doesn't seem to have hurt golf in Atlanta. We all say it's like, oh, golf in Atlanta could be so much better, but it doesn't seem to be hurting. So could it? What's
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think it's something where it's probably constraining the hell out of the game, though, just because there's so few courses within the perimeter, and as people kind of move back into the city and young people want to play, like, it puts that much more stress on a place like Bobby Jones or North Fulton, or where I think it definitely, like, I know the initiation now at like capital cities, $100,000, $150,000. And it's like, that's outrageous for the course that they have. Right. And, so I think it's probably just constraining, or just keeping the game kind of artificially small, especially for younger folks, where, most of the golf is out in the suburbs, and, it's not as walkable. Like, I mean, shit, you look at a place like Sugarloaf, which is, like, I don't even think they let you walk there. I mean, like, you would die, because there's like a mile walk in between some of the holes, and it's a fun golf course. I actually like Sugarloaf a lot.
After they did the redo, right? I've heard that was like incredible, well done, just really well. It was so penal from a Greg Norman design, just ass kicker all day.
Yeah, they just softened it. Yeah, there's some really, there's some cool holes out there. Another one that I think, like, I don't think it gets enough recognition, or, it's not the best layout, but I think it feels like a classic design, even though it's not, is Druid Hills in Atlanta. And that's just east of the city, kind of between Midtown and that's good. And then I think, I'm critical of Atlanta Athletic Club just because it's such a factory. They have a couple thousand members, and, it's kind of like your Kenwood Country Club in Cincinnati, or, probably akin to like Olympia Fields in Chicago, where, big complex, kind of impersonal, just because you have so many members, and that's kind of what it's all about. But at the same time, it's like, I really like the Riverside course a lot. The Highlands, where they have, PGA, or they're having the KPMG Women's PGA there this year. It's just too hard. Like, it just beats the shit out of you all day. And you got a couple 215, 220 yard plus par threes coming in. You got, just really, really hard golf course. Riverside, I know they're going to redo that soon. I think they're looking at some up and coming architects to potentially do that. So that's a really, really fun course. So, all the Atlanta Athletic Club folks, because I know they've got a decent slew of young members there. It's, you've got some good stuff out there. I just think it could be a lot better. So
yeah, there's our members who are also members at AAC tend to be in the scratch demographic, or the low handicap group. I mean, and that's what I've heard. It's a tough track. Yeah. Well, let's shift gears to no-laying up a little bit, if you don't mind. Yeah. I actually don't know the answer to this, but where did Tron Carter originate? I have an idea, but I don't know.
Yeah. So, it kind of goes back to, like, when we started this thing, we never really figured, like, we didn't start it thinking we were starting something, if that makes sense. It was just kind of a fun way. It was a text thread. It was a fun way for Randy and Sally and I to keep in touch and talk golf when not a whole lot of our friends were big golfers. And so I think from there, it's a Chappelle Show character from, he's kind of a recurring character through some of the different skits. So you've got you've got one where, like, the Mad Real World one. You've got another one where he's the world's richest man after they do reparations. So he pops up a few times during different seasons, but I don't know. I just always liked that character. And so some of my college buddies just started calling me Tron, and it just kind of stuck. And
I didn't know. I knew Tron Carter from Chappelle's show, but the skit I didn't know it was a recurring character. The skit I had in mind was where the crack dealer gets treated like a white collar crime, and the white collar crime guy gets treated like the crack dealer.
Yeah, that, and then, but it just kind of goes to show you, like, so really, even when we set up email addresses, like, so I'm Tron at nolayingup.com. Randy is Big Randy at nolayingup.com. So he'll be, emailing back and forth with somebody's accounts payable department, or, some agent or somebody, and like, it's Susie in the accounts payable department who has no idea who we are. And hello Big, or hello Randy, and and his real name's Phil, so it's just
Oh man. Question submitted from a member. Your office in Jacksonville is the Kill House. How many people have been murdered there, and where are the bodies buried?
So the Kill House is a spin-off off of the Wright Thompson article about Tiger Woods, where he goes and trains with the Navy SEALs, and they call their, it's a shoot house or a kill house. It's kind of where they do like simulated, ambushes or, different training exercises. So we just always thought that was funny. Like, and really in that article, they always talk about all the SEALs just lighting Tiger up with these rubber bullets or with blanks and everything like that. So we always just thought that was funny. So the Kill House is just kind of where it all happens. But yeah, Neil's actually living there right now. He and his fiance have been down here since, almost a year now, since Players Week last year from New York. They just figured like no reason to go back to New York with COVID. So, so they've been living here. Solly and Randy lived there for, about a year and a half when they first moved down here as well. So it's literally just a beach, or a house about a mile or a block from the beach. And yeah, like I have no idea what our neighbors think we do. They probably think we're running a porn company or something.
They got all this equipment.
Yeah, we're always coming in and out of there with camera equipment, and yeah, it's just a bizarre scene, I'm sure, for them.
The setup looks awesome, though. You guys have clearly invested in the right gear. I want to touch on the quality of some of the video production. You guys, Tourist Sauce, it seems to be making strides. The new strap release that currently is in Tallahassee, it was quite artistic, especially episode 2. Featuring Neil, shirtless Neil to kick it off. But I'm curious, what's your favorite of the ones you've done?
Gosh, it's like asking me to pick a favorite kid. I'll
do that later.
It's been interesting, just because I think we started it the first season in Australia. We started it not even knowing what it was going to be or what it was going to look like. We didn't even have a name for it, or Zach just asked us if we wanted to go down to Australia, and we said, yeah. And we figured it was kind of figuring out a way to justify a trip to Australia. So, that one, I don't think that one's among the favorites, just because we were so rushed. It was 6 or 7 days, and by the time we weren't jet lagged anymore, it was time to go home. But I'm dying to go back there. Like, it was such a fun trip, but it was a week too short at least. Scotland still resonates a lot, just because, at that point we were still doing everything on cell phone. Well, so like that whole season is pretty much shot on an iPhone, which is, so kind of seeing where we came from Australia and Scotland into the third season was the first one. That was the one we did in the RV out in California. And that was the first one we really did on like cameras. And then, but that one, it was so rainy and cold the whole way, where that was kind of a tough scene. Ireland was unbelievable. I think Ireland was up there with the favorite, just because the weather we got, and Mike, the driver, and, hashtag Chad coming along with us, and Tom Coyne coming along with us. That was really, really cool. Especially going to Cairn, going to County Sligo. I can't recommend that place highly enough. That place it was like the best elements of Harry Colt and kind of what you would expect to find in England, in this far remote place in Northwest Ireland. And then the Pinehurst season, I think we really started to kind of take the production up. Had like a lot of best practices there, and then Oregon. We really, that was like finally having an extra guy along with us in Ben allowed us to kind of be characters in the show more than having to worry about as much production or as much filming. But it's still very much like run and gun. We film it ourselves, and it's I think going along too, cutting out, not doing as many 36 whole days and trying to stay in the same place, more than one night is super helpful too. Like by the end of Ireland and by the end of Scotland, like we were completely fried. So I think some of it is, some of the quality comes back to the plan and, not stretching ourselves too thin. But yeah, we're planning season 7 right now, and it is, I'm super, super, super excited. So we were initially, so season 6 was supposed to be England. We're going to do Northwest England, like, Liverpool and, Birkdale and Lytham and all that. And then kind of go across kind of the northern half of the country, and then end up at Royal West Norfolk, Brancaster, which is like you can only go in and out of that club certain times of day because the tides come up. And so we'll do that one in a future year. Dying to do Japan at some point, but not a good year to do it between Olympics and still COVID and everything. So want to get down to South America at some point. Want to go do Scandinavia. Want to go do like Northern Europe. With like Belgium and the Netherlands and France and all that. And but yeah, and then Western Canada too, dying to do like the Canadian Rockies as well. So we've got one plan. It's a domestic season. I think it's going to be our best one yet.
Nice. Nothing in, it used to be, I used to watch pro golf as a kid and want to go hit golf balls. That doesn't work for me anymore. I watch pro golf and I'm just like, I don't know. It's more of a fan mindset. But as soon as I watch a tourist sauce, I think of my own game and I want to go play golf. So keep those coming because it keeps
awesome. Well, thanks. That's the ultimate compliment. So thank you.
The first conversation I ever had with you was Scotland, actually, and that one of the ringers at Dormy, I think, and that's probably a whole nother pod. I can't, if I go down that path, I've that's another well-researched, and I've been multiple times. I got a lot of questions for you on that, but I'll wait for whatever next international season we have.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we've got some good stuff coming out here soon with Jim Hartzell, who I'm not sure if he's a NewClub member.
He's one of the first ambassadors we ever had.
Okay. I was going to say, I know he's at least a friend of the program, but yeah, he's kind of helping us uncover some pretty cool places over in Scotland as far as, Donaverty or Cardell or, some of those places. I haven't even been to him yet. So he's got such a passion for those, but yeah, I'm dying to get back over there, man. It's like, I was supposed to go over in April of last year, and I was going to do, a whole nother week over there by myself, just kind of barnstorming the country. But yeah, I mean, a lot like so I'd never been there. And then we did the tourist sauce was the first trip. And then I went back over with Zach Blair for the Dunhill when he played, and took him up to the Highlands and played, Brora and Dornick and Nairn. And then we stopped at like Boat of Garten on the way and hit Lockery. And there's just so many courses like outside of the King's Barns and the Castle Stewarts and, the Dornicks, where if you don't play those, quote unquote, second or third or fourth tier courses, I don't think you're really getting the full experience. You don't have the context. So
it's so challenging. I'm having the struggle of the trips that we've planned that, when people maybe only make it once in a lifetime, how do you tell somebody that, hey, today we're not going to, hit whatever the bucket list at Carnoustie, we're going to go a course down the street, but it's either a longer trip or you got to make time to go back.
Yeah. And you can't, I think the biggest thing too is like, don't try to do more than like 2 regions. Like if you go like, it's tough to say, all right, like everybody wants to do Fife, and then everybody wants to do the Highlands, or everybody wants to go play North Berwick and, and some of the stuff down in East Lothian. but then you've got, and then go play St. Andrews, but then, all right, just Cruden Bay, like then you probably have to cut Cruden Bay, or, it's kind of a matter of like when you try to stretch yourself too thin, because I think everything looks relatively close on the map, but then you realize like, A, you're driving on the left side of the road. B, the speed limit on these roads isn't, you're not traveling on interstates, right?
Get Mike, we need that driver.
Yeah, it's slow going. And then C, like you're just, you're walking, a lot of times you're playing 36, but it's dig deeper into the regions that you go to. And then if it's truly a bucket list trip for you, like I guarantee you, if you do it the right way, you're going to want to come back and do it again. So just kind of accept that, So
you guys always have the logistics by the TC way. So, yeah. I think we're getting a flavor of what the TC way actually is. Can you describe the TC way in less than 5 words?
Well, it's kind of evolved because those guys, those have been, I'm the one that's probably always trying to stretch us thin because I want to go, my eyes get really big and I want to go do so much stuff. So like I think the itinerary that we did in Scotland was certifiably insane.
Yeah. I'll say yes.
We were weary by the end of it. But it's more or less, it's trying to seek out local stuff, trying to go to, locally run hotels or bed and breakfast, trying to go to, local restaurants, go places where locals go. Right. And try to make it a reflection of the destination and not just what happened to be the easiest thing, or the thing that was just along our path, like seeking out, cool, interesting, unique stuff. I think for future seasons, we're really excited about doing more off-course stuff too. It seems like people are really into that and kind of, I think making it to where it's a kind of a travel show. Golf's the through line, but not necessarily like golf centric. Right. Yeah. But yeah, I think, TCY, just like going back to, I'm kind of a foodie. So, I want to experience the best of, whether it's in Scotland, going to a distillery, like, which we didn't have time for because we were playing so much damn golf, or, out in Oregon, like it was tough, but like going to different breweries or that sort of thing too. I think that's a cool wrinkle and it's something we can kind of grow up on.
Nice. Pro golf. Let's get into some things. If people want all your takes, there's other pods for that. So I don't want to go do too much of it, but let's do some hypotheticals. All right. So fast forward a few years in the USGA, who just tapped Mike Wan as their new fearless leader. What if they changed paths and went with Tron Carter as the USGA's CEO? What would he do to keep things moving?
God, I'm pretty aggressively rollback. So, which I have some, when Juan stepped down from LPGA, that was my first thought. I was like, he's got to be going to USGA. Like it just makes too much sense. I like Mike a lot. I think he's an outstanding leader, outstanding just communicator, which I think is what the USGA needs. Just because their branding and their communication just has been so cluttered over the last 10, 15 years. But so hopefully this aligns with some of what he's doing. I can't tell if it's a good thing or a bad thing that he's so tight with the equipment industry, having worked for TaylorMade prior,
Wilson in Chicago.
Yeah. And just being, kind of I know he's a marketing and branding guy at heart, like worked for Procter & Gamble for a while as well. So, I think that's probably where that comes from. But I think, I imagine he knows also like what the message is reflective of the USGA and not necessarily like LPGA wise, they didn't have a massive distance issue. And that was actually what allowed them to kind of slide into some of these great golf courses that they've been adding to the schedule. So I think if anything, that should give him kind of license to, to say, hey, like, let's, we're kind of moving from some of these special places in golf to places that are almost purpose built for professional golf. But he's got a mandate as well to not lose sight of the amateur golfer and everything like that. I just think, I think the biggest thing that I would do would be to kind of get through to the amateur golfer, like, hey, like, we're not taking your guns away from you. Like, it's like DJ kind of, it's kind of like that like political thing where it's like, nobody's like coming in, like telling you can't do this, but like, there's a problem in this area of the game and we need to fix it, So I think it's just very different stakeholders and, I don't envy his role at all, but I would definitely like, kind of go back to what they outlined all this stuff in like 2003, and PGA Tour said that they were on board for supporting this stuff. And so some of it's just like going and actually doing and testing for some of the stuff that they said they were going to do. It's not reinventing the wheel. It's like going back and just actually doing the stuff that you laid out.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Since you made the comparison to, political, I'm going to treat you like a politician on this one. Let's say same scenario, but CBS hires you to be in charge of production. I don't want you to state your platform, Tron. What is your platform for CBS coverage?
So first and foremost, I give CBS a lot of credit because I think, getting rid of Lance Barrow, and I know the tour kind of forced them into that. Kind of sending him off into retirement, I think was a great thing. And I think Seller Shy has we've seen some positives from the last, from their first few appearances, just via the drone work. The telecast seems like it has more of a flow. They're showing more golf shots here and there. Is it perfect or even close to perfect? No way. And I don't think we're getting there anytime soon. But a lot of that is so structural with the tour and how it's just funny to me that my first thing for CBS would be like, don't bid on this if you're not going to view it as almost a lost leader, where they were kind of crying poor and saying, hey, we've got to make all these commercials and do all these integrations and we're losing money hand over fist. And that was on the current TV deal that runs out this year, and the new one starts and they're paying twice as much starting next year. So it's like, you can't cry poor and then, and then double the rights fee, So I think that's some of it. I think some of it is treating catering more to the core fan, where in most other sports, like whether it's like Formula One's a good example. I don't know shit about auto racing, but via Drive to Survive and just watching races over the last 2 or 3 years, like, I've gotten into it, but nobody spoon fed that to me, or maybe Drive to Survive spoon fed that to me. But on the race, on the broadcast, they're catering to the hardcore fan and treating the audience like it's filled up with those people, and, raising the lowest common denominator there. And so the onus is on the viewer to educate themselves, and you do that through watching and talking to people and getting deeper into the game. Whereas I feel like CBS and the tour at large are constantly going the opposite direction. They're taking it to the lowest common denominator, whether it's, it's stuff as lazy as just repeating the same 2 or 3 talking points about a player, where Max Homa, he's active on Twitter, or, when Max has been less active on Twitter over the last 6 to 9 months, we're just going beyond the surface level stuff and actually making an effort to show, hey, this guy's on the bubble here. Like on Fridays, for instance, I know this isn't CBS, but it's still their producers in the truck. How is there not something where there's like a red zone channel for guys on the cut? Like there should absolutely be a feed. Like I would watch that. I know a bunch of people, because that's the game within the game, guys trying to get to the weekend that are 135th on the FedEx Cup rankings. Like that's the ironic part too. If you want to make the FedEx Cup mean something, then I think it means more in that 100 to 150 range than it does in the 50 to 75 range. So, 100%. Cover that more and lean more into that.
Yeah. And that lets you grab a hold of these guys that don't have as much notoriety, right? So you don't have to rely as much on a Phil or a Tiger or whoever else.
Totally. Yeah. I think also just, noticed it a little bit since Colonial or Harbortown last year was, less towers, less camera shots looking down, more ground level stuff to actually see the contours and the just what the player is seeing, like more of a minimalist broadcast with, more caddy player convo, more golf shots. Just like I watch European Tour golf all the time, and it's so uncluttered and so clean, and they just show a shitload of golf, and they show it from ground level with handheld cameras, and it's like less is more kind of thing.
I'll actually draw the comparison to the tour sauce. And when you guys were abandoned, and there was a little bit of the steady cam walking, player with, it's not an iPhone, so it's still, but you actually, as that camera moves, you're able to see a slope. I remember that's a massive hump in the middle of that green,
And that stuff gets so washed out when you're constantly using the towers from behind the greens and you're looking straight down with that camera. I had such a better appreciation. I'm not a huge fan of Torrey Pines. I had such a better appreciation for it this year with some of the shots that they had, and there were so many more open vistas and shots looking across the golf course. And then I think also just on the CBS front too, I think I like Colt Knost. I think he does a good job, getting some new blood in there is of the utmost importance. So, fun fact. We'll see. I think they're on the right track. But
fun fact on Colt, yours truly and me and Colt had the same swing coach growing up.
Oh yeah,
out of Ohio. I don't know what he was telling Colt that he wasn't telling me, but man, I mean, that would have helped.
Yeah.
I want to talk about your game a little bit. We always round out with a new segment I'm calling the 19th soul. 18 questions to reveal the soul of the golfer. So I'll do that with you. We're going to do it for all of our guests this year. Okay. But after dominating the game as a right-hander, you just said, all right, I got to go lefty. We played Jack's Beach last January, and I think were you still with last January? Were you already a lefty?
Well, no, I started last June. Actually really started like late May, but kind of committed to it, early June last year.
So where are we at in the process, and what's the commitment?
We've kind of still making progress. Have not played any right-handed. I hit a couple shots on a simulator a couple weeks ago, right-handed, I was helping Neil out with like getting him fit for some of the new stuff. And I just wanted to see how his shaft reacted. But yeah, playing lefty exclusively. It's fits and starts. I think for the first 3 or 4 months, I made really steady progress. Didn't practice at all, and just like when I went out to play, it just constantly improved. Shot 84 at the Sheep Ranch, and kind of, I think it was once I figured out the driver and started driving the ball better, that was really the key. Got the driver sorted. The chipping and putting is better than it's ever been righty. At least the lag putting, I'm still struggling a little bit, like inside of 10 feet, just because alignment's tough. But the lag putting is like, I think when I go back right-handed, I'm still going to chip and putt lefty. As far as like, the distance is starting to come, the irons are still really inconsistent. So that's really what I'm working on now. I've been working with Nico and Kevin, Golf Blueprint, trying to just kind of get that stuff dialed. It's just reps, I think. But yeah, it's really just a matter of, I think it's definitely going to help me out as a right-handed golfer long-term, because it's kind of balancing my body out. My course management's going to be better. Expectations will be more reasonable, where, part of the reason going back to like, earlier in our conversation, part of the reason I quit playing golf after college, there was just, between the Atlanta golf scene and also just, having been down at like a scratch golfer and then not being able to hit the shots that I, grew up and thought I could still hit. That was super frustrating. So, and I kind of got to that point righty, like 3 years ago. And I said, all right, like I'm tired of playing bad golf. I am going to, fix my distance control and like really realize my distance control. And then I did that and like dropped the handicap from a 6 to a 2. In 2019, I think. And then 2020, just having Freddie and all, like, having kids and all that kind of got me back into some bad habits. But I'm super stoked to like finish this out lefty and finish it out strong, and goal is to break 80. I want to break 80 from both sides on the same day. And then B, just to kind of, I want to get the handicap under 10 lefty. So
the thing that when you, because I played with you, I guess it was January, so you had a couple more months of golf, but you played like great the day that we played together. I think you only could play 9, but when I heard that, I was like, man, because you're a competitive guy, Tron. Like I know I could get that sense. Like I grew up hyper competitive. That was kind of instilled in me too. So golf, we all know it can be a very ego-driven sport. And so I just commended you for doing it, man, because you got to really, to take that leap and go the other side of the ball, you got to drop the ego, and you did it.
I knew going in, like I had to totally commit, right? I couldn't be wishy-washy about it, or, hey, I'm going to play lefty today, and then I'm going to play righty for a week or so. And then getting past the point of like, first couple of times I went out being like, I'm really not this bad. I'm a righty, but I'm playing lefty today. It's kind of like the Happy Gilmore, like I'm a hockey player, but I'm playing golf today kind of thing. And it was like kind of getting away from that even, and just totally leaning into like, yo, this is who I am as a golfer right now. And like, I'm a 16 handicap, I'm a 19 handicap, and not telling people that I'm a righty, that like, and it's been interesting too, to kind of be able to marry up, knowing how to play golf with relearning the actual hard skills of playing golf.
Yeah. So it'll make you, and you guys, so many variety of golfers follow what you do. I'd imagine it just is going to, your brain space for that almost empathy in a way of like, all right, I get what these, what they're going through. Totally. Cause it's hard to remember. It's hard to remember if you've played your whole life.
I've noticed. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's definitely made me more empathetic on that end, and more keen to certain architectural stuff too, where like I was playing World Woods the other day, and there's all sorts of deception right off the tee where I never would have even noticed right-handed, where, little bunkers 100 yards off the tee, or little dips where you can't see your landing area. And that would never bother me right-handed, and it messes with me so much lefty. So
yeah. I was something you said just now about playing lefty, and I'm going to combine it with what you said about Atlantic golf. It's funny to me that I think this is the answer of why course architecture is so important, is a lot of the folks that grew up in Atlanta on those courses that probably make it more one-dimensional of score, right? There's less factors you can bring in. So it's what is golf about then? It's about score. It's about shooting the best number, play, getting better. And those courses that were built for developments or what have you lend themselves more to score. And I noticed that guys and gals that grew up on those courses actually are better golfers if you look at their handicaps later in life. But if you go to, let's just go to the extreme example of Scotland, everybody plays. Less percentage of people get to, scratch and below or whatever, but they look at golf not as score. They look at golf as match play. They look at golf
shot making and imagination. Yeah. It's in grinding, like knowing how to build around and knowing how to, what the situation calls for, and not just the stock shot.
All right, well, let's round out on this last piece here. I've adapted 35 questions from Marcel Proust, the French novelist.
Oh, my gosh.
And one of the most influential authors of the 20th century. His questions were trying to reveal the truest nature of a human being. Our questions...
I used to love his, in Vanity Fair, the questionnaire they did at the end. Yeah, I've got that coffee table book on my coffee table.
It's great, right? And I read it over the Christmas. I'm like, you know what? There's something here. So I just adapted them a little bit. I brought it down to 18 because I don't want to, you take all day. Brought it down to 18 and made it about golf. So we're not going to dive any more into the personal life here. We're gonna try to get to the soul of Tron Carter, the golfer, or Todd Schuster, should I say? So Todd, are you ready?
Yes.
Number one, when were you the happiest as a golfer?
I would say the first round I played on the old course. We did the ballot that day, got matched up with a father and his two sons, and I don't know. It was almost like a solo experience. You know, the rest of the group, like we were all matched up with people throughout the morning, and I played well. I think I shot 76. I birdied. I got up and down on the road hole, and then I birdied 18. I made like a 12-foot putt on 18 for birdie, and then went to the Jigger Inn afterwards for a bunch of beers, and it was just like one of the best days of my life. So
it's a good day.
Yeah.
These are intended to be short answer, by the way, Tron. You don't have to give me the number 2. What's the scariest golf shot? When I'm playing right-handed, a 3-foot left to right slider, like putt. Number 3, what is your go-to order at the halfway house?
Big soup guy. Love soup.
Never gotten soup. Any particular soup?
New England clam chowder.
At the turn.
Big fan. At Dunwoody, they always had that. It was fantastic.
Love that.
I'm not a big breakfast guy, so it would just fill me up.
Yep. Number 4, what is the trait you most deplore in your golf game?
My chipping.
Right-handed or left-handed or equal?
Right, yeah, righty. Yeah. And going back to the halfway house question.
No mulligans. No mulligans.
A cup of tuna salad too. I always get a cup of tuna salad.
Yeah.
Have it.
That's clutch. Number 5, what is the quality you most look for in a playing partner?
Let's say like self-awareness, having the ability to, kind of feel out like there's a time to say something, there's a time not to say something. I'm someone I recharge on the golf course. I'm kind of an introvert by nature, so I don't want to talk to you every step of every hole. Like, there's some holes I want to go off and just, kind of go recharge, be in my own thoughts, and then I'll, kind of ease in and out of conversation as the round goes along. That's
a really good answer. What words or phrases do you most overuse on the golf course?
Sick. I say that way too much. That's probably the one. Sick. And then just telling myself I stink. I do a lot of negative self-talk to kind of pump myself up. So
I notice if I'm watching too much Tourist Sauce or any of your guys' things, I do start using sick a lot more. You guys have quite a number of them.
Yeah.
They rotate.
Yeah.
Though.
And then
they change.
Yeah. And then if I'm playing with Neil, anytime he ever goes left, I just yell Icarito. Like that's one that comes out 2 or 3 times around.
That's more of a reflex.
Yeah.
Number 8, what golfing talent do you most wish you had?
I've worked on it. I'm still not there. So I think I still don't have it. The ability to truly take it shot by shot and truly stay in the moment.
That's a big one. Number 9, what is your most treasured golf possession?
Good question. Most treasured golf possession. Give me a sec on this one.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Everyone takes a little bit of time.
Probably my high school golf bag. We won the state championship my junior year, and then we were runner up my sophomore year. But I don't know. I've got my high school golf bag, Maris War Eagles, Ping Hoofer 2.
The best.
Just sitting there in my office, and it's got all of our state championship years on there and everything.
What kind of shape is it in? Is it a little beat up at this point?
Yeah, it's I think the stand is broken, and it's probably got just old sunflower seeds in the bottom of it and all sorts of stuff. So
that's a great question to our next question, or transition to our next question. What is the one thing in your golf bag you need to throw out?
Chapstick. It's always in there, and I never use it on the golf course. I don't know why it's in there.
And it melts, Yeah. If it's
and like
leave it.
The one time you do want to use it, it's not usable anymore.
Yeah, and it's got like, if it's like mine in my bag, I know it gets like little grades of sand and grass on the edge.
It's a magnet for any sort of grit or grime.
Yeah. But the best plug for you guys are at Bandon, and I don't know if they do this at Bandon. They do it at Sand Valley, but the little golf ball ones that are like circular. Yeah, that's some innovation. That stuff actually is pretty good to have in the bag.
Yeah, that stuff actually that's a great ski, because
they use it for right.
Yeah. So
number 11, what is your favorite occupation at the golf course?
So like, of the people working at the golf course,
what's your favorite occupation?
Superintendent.
It's an important one. Number 12, have you ever asked another golfer for their autograph?
Like when I was young, like when I was young, I volunteered at the PGA Championship when it was at Atlanta Athletic Club. First time, I think it was 2001. David Toms won. And, I was in 9th grade, I think. And, I think I got everybody's autograph except for Tiger that week, all on a flag. That was the week that Shingo Katayama was like it was like his entrance onto the stage.
And he got him on the same flag? Yeah.
I think, yeah, I did.
Tiger, did you ask Tiger? Were you in line for Tiger?
Yeah, you know what? It wasn't even gonna be worth it. It's, he was signing 3 autographs a day and just too much of a pain. I've never been a huge autograph person. Just, it's just never really done it for me. I'd rather just go talk to that person for a minute or two, or even when, grab a picture.
Yeah. Even when I was a kid and I worked at the NEC Bridgestone Invitational Akron, I used to do it because all the other kids are doing it. And when I get to the player, because I was like, big fan, I always regretted it. Instantly. I'd be like, can you just do this? And I'd rather watch you chip,
Yeah, it was funny. I was playing the BMW Charity Pro-Am one year, and it was Chess and Hadley and I were partners, and then Chipper Jones was in our group. So we played like 3 days with Chipper and Chesson and Chipper's pro AJ. And at the very last day, we get done. We were playing at Furman Golf Club on the last day, and Chesson hands me a signed Chipper Jones baseball. And he's like, I never would have thought to ask Chipper for an autograph, but Chesson, who's also a pro athlete, went right up to him after the fact and was like, "Hey man, can you sign these baseballs for me?" Kind of thing. So
that's cool. That's pretty cool. And as obviously a Braves fan growing up, that's a big one to have on the shelf. Number 13, what historical golf figure do you most relate to?
Good question. I really like, one of my favorite players ever is Calvin Peete. Just super so growing up, I was always, I didn't miss fairways, and playing right-handed, I just don't miss fairways. And, irons can be streaky, but I think just with him, it's like, he was such a great ball striker and consistent, and then it was just some of the putting, other stuff that held him back. I wish I could go back, going back to your point about people that, grew up in Atlanta and hitting kind of stock shots and everything. I wish I could go back and if I could putt, really putt and manage the course then like I do now, I would have been playing in college, or I would have been so much better. I remember Neil and my dad coming out to high school events, and like I would hit 16 greens and shoot like 74, just miss 10-footer after 10-footer after 10-footer. And really to the point where like Neil and my dad would just like walk off the course because they were so frustrated watching me.
Man, I can relate to way too much to that one. Number 14, what is your greatest golf regret? I think you might have just said it.
No, well, so specific one, I state championship my junior year. It was up at the Orchard in northeast Georgia, kind of up 985. And it was so windy. It was like we had 35, 40 mile an hour winds that day. Really clear blue sky day, but like crazy wind, like to the point where I'm hitting a 4-iron 135 yards. And I shot 76 that day, which was like third or fourth lowest score of the day. Like our number one player who in the practice rounds, he shot 64, 66, shot 73 or 74. And that was like tied for medalist or whatever. So we ended up going to a playoff for, I think our team shot like 308, which in previous years we'd won state championship at, 284, 278, that sort of thing. And we go to a playoff and I'm off last in the playoff, and I'd seen a couple of my teammates, like one of them sprayed 3 balls down the left. There's OB down the left. And then a couple of them went right, and, and it was place 6, count 4 on the scorecard. So it was a par 5. So I ended up hitting a great shot down. I 3-putted that green. It was my first hole of the day, 3-putted that green. The first go around, hit it to like 4 feet. And, had that putt that I was talking about earlier, that like 4-foot left to right slider that I had missed by a mile earlier, same putt. And I get up and just totally wipe it and then tap in for par. And, I don't know. I just always think of that as like, man, like, I could have been a killer right there. So one of my teammates comes up to me who had made like a 30-footer on the 18th hole to send it to a playoff. He comes up to me on that green and he puts his arm around me and he said, "Man, we lost by 1." And I was like, "Oh my God." And then he let it go for like 25, 30 seconds. And he goes, "I'm just kidding. We won by 3." But like, I'll never forget that. Whereas like I gave him the opportunity to do that because I missed that 4-foot
feeling,
putt.
that feeling,
would have been like the exclamation point birdie in the playoff.
I think a lot of guys listening right now are like, have that haunting moment, that you just can't shake. Those regrets stick with
you. It was almost like predestined, right? Or like I had already used like I had already mentally missed the putt in my head,
the big Randy.
Instead of just committing to a line and so.
Rounding out with some architecture. What is your favorite hole in golf? What's your favorite?
The road hole.
The road hole.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, like this is clearly the coolest thing I've ever seen. And like, if anybody tried to do this today, like they would be laughed off the course.
Yeah. That's a good answer. What's your least favorite hole in golf?
Number 5 at Dunwoody Country Club.
Yeah, I was going to ask, we going back to number 5 at Dunwoody Country Club. Yeah. Number 17, if you one song to listen to on the golf course for the rest of your life, what is it?
I was like listening to kind of blues and I'm a big Stevie Ray Vaughan fan. So I would say Texas Flood by Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Nice. And you do listen to music on the golf course?
I do. Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily, I'm not normally the one with the speaker, but if somebody asks me, like I kind of prefer to, as long as it's good music, right? Like that's kind of that's my stock response. And when somebody like, "Hey, do you mind if I play some music?" I said, "I don't mind as long as it's good music." But yeah, I'm not normally the one with the speaker, but I'm always down for it.
And you do always strike me as a person, you would tell them if it wasn't good music.
Yeah, just like, hey man, can we kind of change it up here?
A little too. My thing is when it gets a little too harsh and aggressive. I just need tempo. Whatever you put on, I gotta have a rhythm and a tempo, and I'm good.
Yeah,
I don't care if it's country.
Yeah, and it's got to be relatively positive and relatively smooth. It can't be too herky jerk. Yeah, it's got to be like there's got to be a melody and a rhythm there.
But I know you guys are big Metallica fans, so if someone throws Metallica on, for me it's a no.
I've never been in that instance where somebody's stepped out and thrown Metallica on. So
next time I'm with you,
I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. Yeah.
Last question, number 18. If you had a motto, what would it be?
I would say use your best judgment. Don't be a scumbag.
Use your best judgment. Don't be a scumbag. Tron, that was fun, man. Thank you for going through that. We will release the results of your soul when we have them. I will say your answers, you can tell that Todd Schuster is a soulful golfer from those responses.
Thank you.
You have a very deep relationship with the game of golf.
I do. I think I find it too that like when I go out and play and I'm not, I'm in a bad head state. I'm in a bad mood because of something that happened at work or got into an argument with my wife. Like I don't play well. Like I'm very much, how I feel and what's going on in my life very much affects golf. And I think that's one of the reasons why, like, post college, like, I would go out and play and it didn't necessarily feel like an escape, if that makes sense. Whereas like I could go out and go fly fishing and like not think about anything for 8 to 10 hours. So, but on the flip side, like, I'm pretty good about, and I think the lefty things helped out with this too. I'm pretty good about not letting how I play affect how I feel too on the flip side. So
I think we all need some of that as fellow golfers. There's nobody that doesn't. Well,
going back to two things for you too. Going back to like favorite Atlanta memories. I would say post college, just going. So we used to go to the Sweetwater Brewery like every Thursday, Friday for happy hour after work, and go listen to live music out there. Like that was like our local brewery. And now they're kind of nationwide and everything. But that was always awesome. And then we did a podcast for Tour Championship last year, before Tour Championship, with Spencer Hall from Every Day Should Be Saturday, and he did like the quintessential ranking of Atlanta rappers on that too. So I just kept thinking back to that, and I'm like, oh, we gotta shout that out. So that's a show notes link, I think they call that. I'll put that in there. And Todd, I don't want to keep you too much, man. Thank you for taking time. What do we got coming up? I mean, you can't probably talk about next Tourist Sauce season too much, but what else we got in the hopper? Yeah, we got DJ and Randy are going down to Orlando next week to cover the LPGA event. They've got a cool video project that they're working on next week. I'm kind of just I went down to World Woods this week and Innisbrook with Neil, just trying to get some more crash courses. We're trying to come out with a bang in April on those, both pods and videos. And then, events, just trying to get our events schedule going, but really the coolest thing about 2020, one of the positives was like, it seemed like everybody, instead of it being a centralized kind of, thing where we had to organize stuff, it ended up being so many different people from around the country organizing meetups and just meeting people in their area. And I think that was, seeing that stuff kind of keep going into 2021 has been really cool.
Well, that's any timeline for you guys to release events right now, or I still kind of
we've got a schedule up on the refuge. Big ones I'm working on, like we're going to do one at Northland up in Duluth, Minnesota. Working on one in Gearhart out in Oregon. We're working on one in Denver, and then kind of everything feeding into our thing here at Jack's Beach as well.
Cool, man.
So. Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, we'll hopefully see you this upcoming year. It'll be a little different than last year, and you keep rocking, man. You guys are doing great stuff.
Thanks. You guys too. It's awesome to see. I love the love seeing you guys spread into Atlanta. That's been awesome to see.
We're creeping closer to you. We're creeping closer.
No, love it. Bring it on, man. Like all boats rise kind of thing.
That's right.
You guys are doing such good stuff for the game, and it's just fun to see, like, it's not just growing the game, it's like growing the game the right way and connecting golf enthusiasts kind of. So
I learned pretty quickly. You guys have been one of the big example setters, is that, that's what it needs. And when you're working on stuff that people are passionate about too, it's not about dollars in the end. It's really about, making things go and making a bunch of people happy. And you guys are doing that with all the stuff you guys are touching on. So
cool. Thank you.
Thanks, bro. We'll be chatting with you soon.